Thinking about upgrading your home? Hello, I'm Philip Pantana. Whether you want a modern kitchen, a stunning bathroom, a sturdy deck, or even a brand new addition, our company, Perimeter Remodeling and Restoration, can make it happen. From quick interior repairs to full-scale renovations, homeowners trust us for expert craftsmanship and excellent service, always delivered with the care you deserve. Schedule your free consultation now at perimeterva.com. Call or text 434-515-2868.
Broadcasting from Watts Creative Studios and live on Grove Street FM, you're listening to Talk Local to Me, brought to you by the Central Virginia Business Coalition.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Talk Local to Me. I am Heather Alto with the Central Virginia Business Coalition.
And I'm Mike Norfield, back after a short hiatus with Visiting Angels, and we are America's Choice in Home Care.
Yeah, look at you back.
Look at me.
I don't know what to do with myself. I have my co-host back.
I know, right?
It's been a long 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I think it's actually been 3 weeks because I think the week before that
I was gone. Yeah, it has been. People have been questioning, like, what is happening over
What
there?
is going on over there at Talk Local to Me?
What is happening is life and a lot of work, which is a good thing.
It is a good thing.
It's a good thing. So, but yeah, we're back today. We do have one guest that's going to be joining us later in the episode. And Mike and I are going to be chatting a little bit in this first part about kind of like your mid-year review with your business. What are you doing? We're 6 months in. June is getting ready to.
Are you hitting those goals you set in January?
Yep. Because I think a lot of times you think about it at the beginning of the year, you set the New Year's resolution, all that stuff, and then you just kind of start going with the flow, and you kind of tend to lose, either you're losing steam, or maybe you've jumped course, or things have just kind of happened. You've been derailed, or maybe you're doing all the right things, but
right.
It's kind of a good time to kind of look at it in mid-year and say, like, hey, what are some things I need to go ahead and fix to make sure that I'm going to hit those goals, at the end of the year. And, we've got just a couple of things to touch on for that. But I guess, first of all, I will mention that we do have Coffee Talk this Friday at Omega Disaster Restoration. You guys will hear their commercial later on in the show, and we're excited to be there at their place of business. They've been working really hard at, they're relatively new to their location, so they've been doing some work on it to make sure it looks nice for everyone.
They've got some new staff and things like that. They're growing quite a bit, which is good.
Yep. Yeah. So if you're a business owner, we welcome you to come out to Coffee Talk and network, meet and greet other business owners, and, potentially grow your business that way. I talk a lot about building relationships, and coming to events like that is, in my opinion, one of the number one ways to do that.
Yeah.
If you're someone who hates to cold call, which I don't know very many people that like to cold call.
Right. I am not one of those.
Yeah. Kind of being able to walk into a room full of people. We usually have anywhere from 30 to 60, depending on the day and the location, things like that. Being able to walk into a room of people where you already have like access, and they're there to do the same thing you're doing.
Right.
So it's not like it's just new and you don't walk in and we throw a spotlight on you and scare you, it's very, very relaxed. So
I'll cancel the order for the spotlight.
Let's not bring that this time. But definitely encourage you to come out and check out our events page. That'll tell you where we are. So, next month we are in the Lynchburg area. We're at Central Virginia Flooring, which is another place of business that is new. We haven't been there before either. So I like when we go to new locations and we get to learn more about the business owners and see their space. And it's really nice. So, but we don't have any like major events going on in the next couple of
it's kind of the quiet season.
Months. I'm kind of excited about that. We are, applications are open for Bedford Center Fest. So you're definitely going to want to get in on that. Because I will say, like, we've got a lot of vendors, and it's going to come to the point where we're going to have to shut it down because we can't fit but so many people on the streets, as much as we would love to, have everyone. So you don't want to wait till the last minute to get your vendor booth, or if you're a food truck, definitely. I will say at this point in time, if you're listening or you know anyone, we are no longer accepting kettle corn vendors.
Oh, we have 6 already.
Oh my goodness, I think we've had at least 4 or 5 apply.
Okay.
And we've had to turn 2 away because
you can't have too much. Well, I mean, you can't have too much kettle corn, but you don't want to have vendors competing with each other for the same product kind of thing.
If you have 6 vendors, there's nobody's going to really make any money. So.
Right.
So we've turned 2 away. We have 3 kettle corn vendors, and that's it. No more. So definitely make sure if you're a food truck, it says on the application to contact us first and let us know what you have, what you're going to be selling, because, it just helps us. It helps us not have to refund once we get it in and go, oh, well, we can't do it. So if you are a food truck, we do ask that you email us first and let us know kind of what you have, because sometimes you may be like, well, I do barbecue and hot dogs, and it may be where like, well, we already have a barbecue vendor, but we'll still allow you to bring the hot dogs, and we can kind of work something out. So we can look at that. So and then in July we should be announcing our theme for the Christmas parades. I've already had
should probably get on that.
Surprisingly, a ton of people asking me already. People are already like, well, we're trying to work on our float. And I'm
and if you have a question about that, it's heather@cvabc.org is the email.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not Mike Norfield at visitingangels.com.
Yeah. So even though he's the one coming up with the thing.
Yeah, I got to come up with that. So.
But yeah, I'm actually shocked at how many people are already working on floats or trying to get their designs together.
It's great that they're planning ahead, but
I mean, like, guys, I'm trying to lay on the beach. I'm trying to be out in the snow.
I'm almost on lake time, so.
Yes, me too. A couple weeks. But yeah, so that's it. I mean, we don't have a ton going on. Which is exciting in itself. It's nice to have a little bit of a break. We work really hard, but that doesn't mean we're not already thinking of things we can do.
Yeah.
We're supposed to have a speed networking event June 13th.
Okay.
And I say supposed to because I am considering moving it. We've had quite a few people that were like, oh, I really want to come, but we're going on vacation.
Yeah, I leave for vacation that day.
And so I think it's going to be best that we move that maybe to when after school starts in August and kind of get out of the summer months. And I think we'll have a better turnout for that.
Yeah, probably.
That's what I'm going to kind of.
So. And if you're looking for something fun to do this weekend, Heather, if you've got nothing else to do.
Oh, yeah. What?
The Hillcats have Saturday at 6:30, May 31st, 2025. It's Love Heals Night at the Hillcat Stadium. So, and it's
fun.
Their chairman of the board of directors. I feel like I have to say, hey, get out there and check it out and see. And it's great because they do discount tickets, right? So if you go through Love Heals, which you can find them on Instagram and Facebook and all the things, TikTok even. Their TikTok's hilarious, by the way. So they've got an inflatable chicken suit because they're doing a campaign, which I'll talk about in a second, but they're doing the Hillcats Night at the stadium, so you can go and learn about what Love Heals does and see a baseball game. It's only $11.11. That's like a lucky number, right? 11:11.
That's so it's a very, very worthwhile nonprofit for people to support. And if you don't know, like Mike said, if you don't know about them, they're relatively a newer nonprofit in our area. They've been a couple of years now going, and they do some great things in the community. So we're trying to raise awareness. I, unfortunately, will be at the Metallica concert in Charlotte.
Unfortunately?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Unfortunately. I'm just kidding. But it's my husband's birthday gift from last year. So we're heading out.
There you go.
But I strongly encourage others that are listening to get a ticket and go enjoy some baseball and learn more about what Love Heals is.
And we actually had Love Heals on just about a year ago. And I can tell you that it was a year ago because May is our match month for Love Heals. And so you can become a Heartbeat member, just a monthly donation. It could be anything from $5, $10, $100, whatever you want to do a month. I think I signed up and did $25 a month.
Yep, that's what I did.
Became a Heartbeat member, and it helps their operational costs. When they hold a concert and they do a benefit for someone, all the money that comes in from that concert goes to the individual that they are trying to help. So you can help them do help with their operational costs, and it's a great thing. So they do a lot for the they've been doing popsicle pop-ups.
Okay.
Which I didn't know was a thing. So
I didn't either.
Giving out popsicles and telling people about Love Heals, and it's pretty cool. So
that's cool. Yeah. What's the chicken suit about?
So the chicken suit is because of the match. So the chickens, they go, wah, That's the only impression I'm giving you today.
So hold on, I got to tell you my daughter's joke.
Okay.
Why did the chicken cross the road?
Because.
Oh crap! You already know it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's still hilarious.
Yes, it is.
Anyway, but yeah.
So, but if they had a I'll call it a viral video that went last year that they were using the chickens to talk about how you have one chicken and it makes a little bit of noise. You get two chickens that make a lot more noise. So with a match, your gift goes a lot longer. And this year they decided to get an inflatable chicken suit, which Courtney has been in around town. So if you've seen that inflatable chicken suit, and you're like, what in the world is going on? Like,
She should wear it to Coffee Talk.
She should. I will tell her. We
That
have
would
a board
be
meeting
great
tonight. I
if
will
we
tell
have
her.
her come in and Coffee Talk.
I will tell her tonight, in case she isn't listening, I'm going to tell her tonight that we said that she said she is going to wear it to Coffee Talk.
Okay, great.
And if she doesn't, maybe I'll borrow it and we'll put Woody in it because Woody's not here to defend himself today.
Oh, yes. Woody should wear the chicken suit.
Yeah.
Well, we've already talked. Whoa, no. We should have her in the chicken suit and him and
the
Bigfoot
Sasquatch.
should come together and we'll just have a whole grand time of people in different costumes.
It would be good. It would be the talk of the town. Let me tell you.
It would be. It would
So,
be. I mean, yeah.
that'd be good.
So we are going to chat a little bit before our first guest gets here, as we mentioned earlier, about just some mid-year things you should be doing, check-ins, if you will. Just kind of looking at your goals. What have you been doing to reach the goals?
And
how
kind
are
of
you
a check
running
in,
your
like,
business?
how's your business going? What do your customers think? Things like that.
Yeah. And I think it's a good thing to do. I think it's definitely a good thing to do. We're going to be, I know at my office, we've got some, I've had a lot going on lately. I feel like I've been in and out of the office, but we're having a couple of our delegates coming in tomorrow and we're all going to be hitting the trail of calling members and doing some things.
Yeah. So how do you track that members are happy? Because the CVBC members are your clients.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. So are your customers happy? How do you know?
Yeah. How do you know? It's a hard thing to do. And especially, when you have a lot of customers or clients, if you will, it's hard to be able to say like, reach out to every single one individually or, find that out. So, a lot of times I think we're looking at sending out a survey. Have you surveyed your clientele lately or your customers? And really you want to get the feedback, whether it's good or whether it's bad, because, I think a lot of people don't like the bad feedback. They get offended, they get upset and believe me, I am one of those people. I wear my heart on my sleeve a lot. And so if somebody messages and they're like, I think this was really bad, or I didn't like this, I get all up in my feelings. I'm calling Mike. Oh my God. No, I do. I get all up in my feelings, but it is a good thing in hindsight, because that is something that if one person potentially has a problem with, there may be more
that just aren't saying something.
That just aren't saying something. And so, you want to be able to fix it. You want people to know like, hey, I hear you. I think that's a big thing. People just want to be heard. So I think like your clients and your customers, they do. They want to be heard, and then they expect you to try and maybe make a change. Or even if you can't make that change, give them the reason why that change can't be made, because sometimes you just can't. There's obstacles maybe you might have. And so definitely that. I think we're working at putting out a survey mid-year and just being like, hey, we've already done a whole bunch of events.
What was your favorite event?
Yeah.
What was the event you feel like we shouldn't be doing?
Right.
Like,
or if you're not coming to events at all, what do you want to see us do? Or why not? What are things that we could be doing better? You joined for a reason.
Right.
What was that reason? And again, I also have to hold the accountability to the business or the client as well, saying, especially in my case, like if you joined, there was obviously a reason you did.
Right.
And have you even put in the effort?
Right. It's not a magic subscription where you pay a yearly fee and then your business just grows. You've got to put the work into.
But you want you want your clientele to be happy, because you want that repeat customer. So whether it is somebody walking into your business and buying something and purchasing from you, or like us, where there are businesses that are members that renew year after year, or like Love Heals, if you're a nonprofit and you've got those heartbeat customers, or things like that, you want them to say, oh, I want to continue doing this because I see the value in it.
Right.
And I think that's important. So, I guess that's one thing to think about. How are you gauging your customer service?
So one of the things that we do is we have an outside company that we hire that calls 10% of our clients and 10% of our caregivers every month.
Okay.
And ask them a set of standard questions like, what are we doing well? Where could we improve? How is the communication from the office staff?
Mm-hmm.
How is your caregiver providing care? Things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we've actually, since we opened, we've won awards from that, because if you rank high enough in the country, you win as like a provider of choice and employer of choice, and we've won those every year that we've been open since we started doing that. It's in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So like that, and we get a lot of important feedback from that. Like it's sometimes we get somebody in there, they're happy with their service, but there's like a small sticking point. They're like, I don't really like this, right? A lot of times it's something we can fix. I was talking to the lady that owns the offices in Virginia Beach yesterday. She called me and she was like, yeah, we have some clients that like, they don't like it when their caregiver chews gum. Right. And so it's like they ask the caregivers, like, please don't chew gum in the house. Like, little things like that aren't really that big of a deal. And it's, sometimes you take those complaints and you're like, really chewing gum? Like, could be a lot worse. Right. So, it just depends. But if you don't communicate with your clients and your customers and you don't know that they're happy or unsatisfied, how do you improve and continue to give them great service?
Yeah, I know. I think that's so important. I was actually kind of impressed the other day too. Like my youngest daughter, she tried out for the local cheerleading squad, whatever. And she made the team, but her coach actually, I think it was yesterday, maybe it was the day before yesterday, she sent all the parents an email and she said, hey, I know your daughters made the team and that's great, but I wanted to send you guys a copy of the judges' notes as to what they could do to improve for next year.
Even if they made the squad.
Here's what they could do better because, they're watching this and that and you never know from year to year. You always want to improve. I thought that was actually pretty cool that they, said, hey, we think, they did a good enough job to be on the team, but here's where they need to do even better. Right. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, what I'm saying with like work, I think we're doing a pretty good job, but what can we do to make it a better experience?
Right.
We don't want to just be like mediocre.
Right.
And it's also kind of the same, like I'm sure with you, referrals are big. So if you have a client that is referring you because you're doing a good job.
And Google reviews.
Yeah.
So I had a client that stopped by the office yesterday to tell us we took care of his dad and his dad passed away a couple of weeks ago. And he stopped by and was like, the caregiver that I had, he was just amazing. He was great. I just want to make sure that he gets recognition. Then he followed up with an email with me today and was like, just want to let you know, Nigel was doing a great job. Right.
Right.
And that it means the world to us because it's like, we know that we made a difference in that. And, having a care team, like we lost my dad in January and having a care team that was at the facilities and the hospital, things like that, like those people really do make a difference in the things that they do. So to get that feedback really let us know like, hey, we can do that. And I asked the client, I was like, would you mind leaving us a Google review and just, give him a shout out. Right. And, we have a policy in our office that anytime somebody calls and gives a caregiver and he gives a caregiver a compliment, rather, we always give them, we call them care bucks. We stole it from CVS. Don't tell them. But they get these little care bucks in their mailbox at the office, and it's 10 or 25 or whatever, and they trade it out for gift cards. So it really does make a difference when you have a great experience with customer service. If you let the business know, a lot of times it can directly help the person that was providing the help. So making sure that your clients are happy, your customers, making sure that your employees are happy. And I know that we have a lot of businesses in the CVABC that only have a few employees, right?
Right.
But we've also got some that have a lot of employees. And how do you make sure that they're happy and not, looking for another job, or they're dissatisfied with their company for one reason or another? If you don't know what they're unhappy about, you don't know how to change and make it better.
Yep. And that kind of leads me into my next thing. And I'm asking you because like I have, a staff, but like, you're looking at your customers, how, you're midway through the year.
Yeah.
Is your staff happy?
Right.
How are you gauging whether your staff is happy? Because, you don't want to have turnover. You don't want to have a whole bunch of, like you said, like turnover on, in your staff, because then that takes time away from what you're doing. You're having to retrain, you're having to do things like that. So how are you gauging whether your staff is happy, and what are you doing or implementing to make sure that they are?
Yeah. So I talked about culture at the Lead On Summit, right? Yep. And our turnover rate's 8% compared to like 70% in the industry. So, and everyone I tell that when I talk to another, somebody who runs another office or something, like, how do you do that? And I'm like, well, we communicate with them. Well, I realized after Tiana and I we sat down and we kind of had a debrief after our presentation, and we were like, so we've got employees and caregivers that we don't talk to every month, right? Because they go to work, they do their job, they go home, and everything's good.
Yep.
But we're not communicating with them. So we go through, and Karen in our office will go through and like, oh, we haven't talked to this person in 2 weeks. Like, we'll just reach out with a text message and be like, hey, just want to check in, see how things are going. Is there anything we could do better? Is there anything that we do? What do you think we're really great at?
Right.
Because we love to hear that. And, where could we improve? And we've gotten some really creative and great feedback on that. Even as far as like, we had one caregiver who was like, I know how to, we have a thing called a Hoyer lift that helps move people. They're like, I know how to use it, but there's so many different kinds. I would love some more training on that. So we're working on getting training in place for that, so that they can do their job easier and be able to use the equipment better. So, it's, and through that, we actually started, kind of ranking our caregivers on their skill level, because we have some, that are very good caregivers, as long as it's, they don't know how to use a Hoyer lift or things like that. Some of the more experienced things. And so we kind of split them out into categories. So we don't assign them to shifts that are hard for them to work because they don't have the right training or whatever. So that's something that we improved from feedback from clients and caregivers. And, and we also got that from a partner, actually. That was a recommendation from one of our competitors. And, so talk about keeping your partners happy. So we're a little bit different with our partnership, because I talk about co-opetition a lot, right? So our two biggest competitors, like, we try to go to lunch with them every once in a while, and we just sit down and have open conversations about like what works really well for you and what doesn't. And we all learn from each other, and it makes us better as an industry, which gives us a better reputation for what we do, and also helps educate more people about what we do. Because I can't tell you the amount of people that call and they're looking for home health, right? And we're not really home health. Home health is like physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, wound care, all sorts of things like that, right? And we don't do that. We're more on the side of, they call them activities of daily living. So bathing, dressing, meal preparation, even errands and things like that. Just kind of helping do laundry, helping do housekeeping as well. Like there's a lot of different things that we do. And so having those partners that, when somebody calls us for that, and educating the public about what we actually do, and people are shocked. They're like, I didn't even know that was a thing. And it's like, yeah, we're a thing. And, but being able to refer to partners in the field that do things slightly different than we do, is also important in keeping those partners happy, because you want to send them referrals. So they'll send you referrals. Yep. Right. So, sometimes it's not all about what you get. It's also what you give,
Yeah, I asked you that question because you did a great job of explaining that when you were talking about the company culture and things like that. And I mean, well, I have a Megan, a staff member,
and it's easy to keep a staff of two and yourself. Yeah, it's easy to keep them happy because you're in touch with them. You're talking to them all the time, things like that. And you're not dealing with it's specific things that they like adult coloring books or something like that, right? Yep. So you it's kind of easier to fine tune. I had trouble in the office because what's the number one corporate way to show appreciation? It's a pizza party, right? Nobody wants a pizza party. Just FYI, if you're out there and you're thinking of doing a pizza party, don't do something different. But trying to motivate staff with food, that was always a challenge for me, because we had someone in our office who really didn't eat at work, right? So we would get lunch and he would just sit at his desk and be like, oh, I'm good. And I'm like, no, we're talking. It's more about the food. Yeah. More than just the food, right? We're sitting here talking. And then, but now my staff will tell me we haven't had lunch in a while. Can we get, La Coretta or, Panera or, something like that. And we try to, when we have something go really great, we kind of have a celebration lunch and get food. Yep. And if something goes wrong, we have lunch and we talk about it, because it's always easier talking over food and what are we doing well and what are we not doing well, so being able to address some of those issues in a kind of a safe space and
Yeah. And I think it's easier for me to I was just chatting with Megan yesterday, I think. And, like I said earlier, the last couple of months for me have been a little crazy with my parents. I've had some family stuff going on. So I've been in and out of the office. And, for me, that's hard because I'm one of those people that
You're very hands-on.
I'm very hands-on. Yeah. And to not be in the office or feel like I'm slacking in some way has been really difficult for me. And I've, been relying on her to do some things, or Autumn to do some things that I couldn't do at the time. And so, when we were talking yesterday, I was so frustrated. I was almost on the verge of tears because I was just I feel like I'm just so stressed out. I've got so much going on. And I told her, I said, and I was kind of making a reference to somebody else in my past. I was like, I don't want you to feel like I'm never in the office or I'm never here. And she was like, oh no, I absolutely don't think that. And so then she told me, she was like, but Heather, she was like, I've had a lot of crazy go on too. Her kids have had some, broken wrists and, things happen. And, she has a son that lives a couple hours away in college, and she's had to, just drop some things and drive up there for stuff. And she was like, anytime I need to be somewhere, you're always there for me. And she said, we work really well in that kind of balancing act, which is easier to do when you only have 2 people.
Right.
Sometimes, and sometimes it's hard because you don't have a big staff to cover it. But,
Right.
That's when, like yesterday, I had a couple of my delegates at our Appomattox Coffee Talk. They were just like, what can we do? And I was just like, it would be great if I could just have y'all for a day come over and just help us, just pick up some slack on some phone calls or some, mailing out some invoices and just doing things. And they were like, yeah, we'll be there. So, that was good. And it's good to have that support system, and, to be able to have it, but you want to be able to give back too. So that's why I'm always,
Right.
I'm always like, I love the fact that I don't have to sit there and go, no, you have to be 9 to 5, da, 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 da. And I think
Right.
a lot of companies have gotten out of that culture since COVID. And I
We've
think
completely
that's the
broken
one,
that culture.
Yeah, I think that's the one good thing. If you have to ask me what is the one good thing that came from from COVID and 2020 and all that, is that people realize that you don't have to be behind a desk 24/7
Right.
to get the job done. And you don't have to be in the office 24/7 to get a job done.
Can you say it a little louder for those in the back?
Right. That's what I'm saying. It is okay. It is okay to be able to say, yes, your kid, comes for your family, comes first, go do this.
Right.
The job does not have to be,
And there's give and take with that, right? Yeah. So people tell me all the time, like, oh, it must be great to like run your own office. Like you've got flexibility. I'm like, yeah, I have flexibility, but like I worked Memorial Day.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And usually I work every Sunday, and that's my choice. Right. I go in because I do the billing, and it gives me time with no one else in the office. The phone isn't going to ring, all that. So it lets me get ahead for the week and get things that are very important and time sensitive done on time.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So this weekend I didn't go in on Sunday, and my wife was shocked. She was like, "You're not going in?" I'm like, "No, we actually went to 1,000 Trails and went to the pool. Mm-hmm. It was fantastic." And, but we didn't have any plans for Monday. So I went in Monday instead. We went and did some things in the morning, and then, then I went to work and did the things I needed to do, and actually ended up deep cleaning the kitchen. That's a long story, but it is nice to have the flexibility, but that also means it's a lot of, it's like Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Yep.
So with that flexibility, sometimes I end up working more than I really want to.
Yeah.
Right. And, I think the great thing is that we've kind of gotten away from the 9 to 5 structure, because we have people that are in our office that usually come in about 8:30 and they're there till about 2:30. And then we've got another one that works, like 8:30 to 2 and things like that. And one of those, they work from home. And yesterday, so I had one person who was sick and not feeling great. And so I'm like, just stay home. It's fine. Mm-hmm. And then another one that was like, my girls are sick. I need to work from home. Mm-hmm. Like, she's got a fever. She can't go to school. Like, I need to work from home. And it was great, but it was really weird because another staff member was like, I have something to do before I come in. I won't be there until like 9:45. I'm like, fine, no problem. So I was in the office. I got there at like 8:00, and I was there for an hour and a half, and it was just kind of me and Marilyn in the office. And it was very strange because it was, you miss your staff when they're not there, but we were able to handle it, and it wasn't a big deal. Yeah. Right. And I could have like huffed and puffed and, blown the house down and all that, and been like, if you guys aren't here, like, how are we supposed to get anything done? Everything got done. Yeah. And sometimes it's having that grace and being able to be flexible like that. It's one of the, the people that are in my office, they'll tell you that they don't want to go to work anywhere else.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's also having protocols in place too. Like, so, like what you're doing, what needs to be done. And if it, maybe isn't done right at 9, somebody that's coming in at 9:45, right. It's going to happen. You just gotta, have the stuff kind of set.
And we all have different responsibilities too. Yeah. So, but we're all cross-trained as well, so that we can help each other. And that's one of the biggest things that I pull back from the job I had when I was 19, right? I wanted to learn how to do everything, because if there was a hole, like, I was very much a people pleaser back then. Not that I'm not now, but I have a little more constraint now. But I wanted to learn everything, because if there was, I didn't want something to go undone. Right. So everybody in our office knows how to do everybody's job to a certain extent. Right. We're not experts at it, but we can do it. Yeah. So
I was joking yesterday that I was going to have to put a playpen in my office for my parents.
Right. That's an awful big playpen.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, I need a playpen. Put them in. But yeah. So the other piece to it, and actually maybe we'll talk about this for a second, then we'll cut to a commercial. Okay. But is checking to make sure your partners are happy. And I'm not talking about your spouses. Okay.
That's
Although you should check on them too, because if you're doing your business and, sometimes, like Mike said, if you're going in on Sundays or you're going in on Memorial Day, my husband, there's times he looks at me and goes, I need you to clock out. Like, I need you to just stop. And I'm like, okay, I do it. And I've done much better about it. But no, I'm talking about like others in your service industry, like people that you are working with, like, you're working with, for example, some of our larger sponsors, or, if you're working with, caterers or places for events, or, who are your business partners you're working with?
Right.
Are you working well with them? Is it mutually beneficial? How are you keeping them happy to where they're continuously working with you as well?
Yeah.
So I think that's just something to kind of look at. I don't know how you really measure that, with the exception of, again, just talking with them, sitting down after events, like going over like, hey, how did this event work for you? I know after the home show, I actually chatted with Philip with Perimeter, and it was kind of like, okay, how do we make the second year bigger and better? Like, what are some ideas? And he had some great things to say that we needed to look into for next year. And he was like, you want to kind of get started on that now. And I was like, yeah, we do. You don't want to wait till the last minute. So he had some really good insight into it. So that's just my suggestion, is if you have, partners that you work with your business, to also reach out to them, or even do things like sending them little things every now and then, just to show you appreciate them, whether it's, hey,
a handwritten note.
Yeah. A handwritten note.
I heard that's effective.
It is effective. A little handwritten card, or maybe you stop by with a box of donuts one day and just say, hey.
The 2201 Langhorne Road, Suite A, Visiting Angels. We love donuts.
They love donuts. Yeah. 14805 Forest Road. Heather loves donuts. I can't really have very many, but I love them.
A half dozen to each place. That's great.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. All right. Well, we're going to cut to a quick commercial, and then we will be back with some more opportunities or ways for you to be checking in on your mid-year review. Today's podcast is brought to you by Omega Disaster Restoration, located in Campbell County, Virginia. Omega specializes in water, fire, and smoke damage restoration, as well as mold remediation. Their region includes Central and Southwest Virginia, which spans a vast service area from Blacksburg to Charlottesville and Stanton to Danville.
In addition to disaster restoration and full-service reconstruction and remodeling, Omega is proud to offer custom all-wood cabinets through their Hanover Woodworking Studio, custom countertops via their Top Solution Studio, and dumpster services through Old Dominion Dumpsters, all part of the Omega family of brands. A beautiful showroom is currently under construction at their Exchange Drive location and will be soon open to the public, showcasing their diverse offerings.
Customers can call 434-616-4659 for emergency assistance with water, fire, smoke damage, or mold remediation needs. Omega provides 24/7 emergency response, ensuring that help is always available. Locally owned and not a franchise, Omega is your first and last call in any emergency, restoring your home or business from beginning to end. For more information about Omega Disaster Restoration and their comprehensive services, please visit omegadisasterrestoration.com/VA/Lynchburg.
One thing protects it all, your roof. And when you've got a new one, you're set for decades. I'm Andrew Lee. Our company, Perimeter Roofing and Exteriors, is trusted by homeowners and businesses for all roofing and exterior projects. Shingles, metal, slate, gutters, windows, siding, decks, and more. Perimeter Roofing and Exteriors is your go-to for all protection and efficiency. Get your free no-hassle inspection today. Call or text 434-515-2868. Perimeter Roofing and Exteriors, protecting from the top down.
And we're back. So I'm going to take a step back actually and go back to another topic we were talking about just a minute ago. So we were talking about giving flexibility to staff and things like that. Heather and I were talking during the break, like it's also important if you run a business and you give your employees like, hey, you've got a flexible schedule. Hey, if you need a day off, we can manage that. You've got to remember to extend that courtesy to yourself as well. So, and I'm talking to myself here when I say this, but you've got to remember that just like you were there for your team is there for you. Mm-hmm. Right. And it's got to go both ways. So as a business owner, and we talk about it, the hours sometimes are long and it's hard to clock out and just take care of what you need to take care of. But sometimes you've got to take care of yourself as well to make sure that you're still there to be able to run the business and lead the team.
Yeah. And it's really hard. I mean, it really is hard for me. I know it's hard for a lot of people to take that step back, especially I feel like if you're in some sort of a leadership role.
Right.
I'm not saying anything about people that are just like, whether you're coming in as just an employee or whatever.
Right.
I think a lot of people, regardless of where you're at in the stage of employment, they care a lot about their job. So, it's difficult to say, hey, I can't come in today, or you're worried about what's going to happen to your job, especially with, the economy and things that are going on right now. But, you really do have to take a step back and think, like, if I go into work today, am I going to go in as my best self? Am I going to go in and do a good job? Because to the, I want to like say to myself, is it worth it for me to come in and do a crappy job or just be there as a body versus actually getting something done?
Right. Or do I need to take today and recover and go in tomorrow and be able to tackle everything I need to tackle?
Exactly. So, I think that's something everyone needs to think about, as well as how important is it for you to be there, really.
Right.
Yeah. So the next thing I wanted to kind of chat about is what does we talk a lot about marketing, right?
Right.
Well, what does your marketing funnel look like right now? You're midway through the year. What are you doing? Is it full? Is it halfway full? Is it on the lower side? Have you not really thought about your marketing yet?
Like, have you hit your capacity, or do you need more business? Or, and for us, it's a delicate balance of, we always want more clients, right? But we've also got to have the caregivers to work it. So we, and we've got a team of about 45 that we're working with, staffing about 40 clients, right? Yeah. So that's 1 for 1 almost. So that is not a great ratio for, you really want it more than that. And so it's hard to find staff. And how do you recruit new staff as well as new clients, right? For us, it's in our industry in general, it's frustrating. That's why I got a phone call yesterday from the lady that runs the Virginia Beach office. She was like, we just can't get anybody in to interview and hire. And the ones that do, like, they have a criminal record or they don't have a certification that we need or something like that. And it's a challenge. And, but how do you, so you've got to do marketing for both, right? Because we look at it as like, we almost have two different businesses. One is we're trying to get clients, and one we're trying to get employees to work it. And what marketing efforts do you do that works to get through the summer activities, right? So you've got parents who their kids are out of school, so they might not have as much availability to work and things like that. So, and they might not necessarily be looking for a job, right?
Right.
And then you've got clients that are like, well, we've got all these things planned. I've got all these things that I have to do before I worry about getting care, or before I worry about getting my pool cleaned, or before I worry about, what's another business that you see? Like,
I don't know.
There's so many out there.
So many
like,
out there.
Like I need a bathroom redone. So,
need to put a new roof on.
Yeah. Need to put a new roof on. Need to get siding on my house, or I need to get my house pressure washed, or things like that. And it's like, as soon as the summertime hits, which are great times to do those things, and you're going to the lake, you're going to the beach, the kids are out of school, you're trying to find something to do with them and put them in camps and everything else. And it sometimes we get lost in the busy of summer, right? And, how do you continue to market through that and be effective? And it's not all necessarily TV ads, magazine ads, billboards, things like that. A lot of times it's that I get more business from in-person networking. A lot of our clients come to us and they're like, so-and-so told me about you, right? I didn't even know you existed, but they told me about you and they had nothing but nice things to say. Yeah. So that's all the way from personal referrals to business to just clients that we have that tell their neighbors. We've got one area that we've got like 5 or 6 clients in one community. It's like a little housing community. And one person gets care and they start telling their neighbors about it. Then all of a sudden we've got like calls for like every other house in that community. Yeah. And it's like, well, that's fantastic. But, you can't force that kind of marketing, right? You can only do your job, do it well, and hope that people talk about you. But for the intentional marketing things, like what can you do during the summer to get through all the noise?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of like, I'm actually going to tie in a couple of other pieces to this puzzle, like some of the bullet points to this, like with the marketing. It's also like, what investments are you doing that aren't paying off? So like if you are marketing, what are you currently investing in that you're not seeing the payoff for? And then where should you invest next? Like what should you do instead of? And that's they were both kind of tied in to something I want to talk about because, if you are, and some of those things may not be related to marketing, some of them may be like, for us, we're looking at into this year, we're closing down one of our offices because it's just not doing what we needed to do. And we need to have that money back into the budget versus having space. But like, what are you investing in that you thought maybe would work, but hasn't, or, what is something you're investing in? And also look at if you're investing in it, are you doing the things you need to do to make sure that it's working too?
Right.
It can't just be, again, like you're throwing money at it.
You're getting a CVABC membership, but are you going to the events? Are you using your benefits? Are you doing the billboards?
Exactly.
Are you doing the things?
Exactly.
You're getting in the newsletter, all those things.
Right. Yeah. So that's kind of what, I encourage people to look at, even with your marketing funnel. Like, if you're paying money into, let's say, television or radio advertising,
right?
How are you gauging that ROI? Is there a way that you're doing that? And if not, maybe you need to look at that first before you just say, "Oh, this isn't helping." Because if you don't know, how do you know it's not, or how do you know it is? So, try to look into the ways that you're marketing and see, like, hey, let me get some feedback on how is this working. Social media is another big one I've heard people talking about. Get with someone who knows social media management. I am not that person. I'm not good at it. I'm not good at social media. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to get better about marketing the CVABC. That was one of my goals this year. And I feel like I have not hit that goal yet. Like, I feel like I've kind of gone back into, I'm still working on all the members, and, all these events have popped up. And we need to see more membership coming in, but there's people that don't know who we are. So how do I need to, for the second half of the year, how am I pushing forward with marketing?
And like that word of mouth is important, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think the CVABC has that down pat, because if somebody posts on Facebook, "Hey, I'm opening a new business," I saw it today.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody posted, I think Chris Morse posted on somebody that they were looking at how to get more business and they want to open a dog boutique downtown.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris Morse was like, "Come to this event and check it out."
Right.
So like the CVABC definitely has that down as far as like the membership buy-in and the members buying in and promoting. But also, what else can you do to promote the CVABC outside of that?
Yeah, I feel like we need to have some more SEO going on our Facebook and things like that, where people are, we're kind of popping up in their threads, like, here's who can help you with local business sort of deal. And so, I'm going to look into some of that. I've chatted with Chris. I've chatted with Kelly with Media Mosaic. Like, what are some, best practices? We're not on Instagram. We're not on some of these other places. So should we be focusing on some of them versus just Facebook? Because I know different social media platforms have different target markets. And so a lot of younger people are entrepreneurial. They're starting up their businesses. Facebook isn't maybe necessarily the place for them. So,
and I feel like a lot of our clients, because we deal with mostly seniors, a lot of our clients aren't going to find us on Instagram, but their kids are. And their kids are our age. Right. The key demographic for senior care is
sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We both know how that is, right? So, it's, finding the thing that works for you is definitely important, but also, it takes a lot of things to keep a business running. Doesn't matter what that business is, whether it's Media Squatch, whether it's the CVABC, whether it's Love Heals, whether it's Visiting Angels. Like, it takes a lot of different things to keep the business going and going in the right direction. And so sometimes social media and marketing that way falls behind because it's time consuming. And when you don't see like instant results from it, because it takes time, right? The SEO, all that, it takes time. And, it's hard to balance all that and figure out what can go and what absolutely needs to be done. And I think for me personally, I feel like social media falls behind a lot.
Yeah, I do. And I think too, like, social media is always changing.
Yeah.
That's another reason I say to reach out to somebody who has, I know, like we've talked about, like Chris Morse, he's constantly like going in on like these meta calls and doing different things and learning more about algorithms and how they work. And so I definitely think, reaching out to somebody who knows what they're doing. Usually we've had Woody on here before talking about what, Media Squatch does for, and content. Content is big.
Right.
I suck at content. I'm not, and it's not even that I try to get it. I get caught up in the events sometimes.
So I take pictures at every event I go to.
Pictures stink. My phone stinks. I need a better camera.
I take pictures at every event I go to. I could show you 100 pictures right now that I've taken at events and never got posted.
Yeah.
Right. Because you go to an event, you talk to all the people, you get pictures, and then you leave the event, you're driving back to work and you're thinking about all the things that you now have to do because I have a very smart friend named Abe Loper who told me, made a Facebook post or something one time and said, everything I say yes to, I've got to figure out what I'm missing out on to do that. Yeah. Right. So he's got certain things that he won't give up time with his family.
Yep. That was actually said at the Empower Conference. One of our speakers brought that up too.
Yeah.
Yeah. For every yes, there's a no, there's something you're giving up in the background.
Right. And, so you think about that all, I just gave up this, hour and a half, 2 hours to go to Coffee Talk. And so you're thinking about like all the things you have to do to catch up after that. And then the pictures just get forgotten and social media gets forgotten. And it's like, why take the time to go to the event, take the pictures? I would say it's a sad dog doesn't wag its own tail, right? So you've got to show that you were there and kind of that's free content that you can post and get out there and show that you're part of a community.
I know I need to do better.
Yeah, I'm talking to myself.
I'm going to do better.
So we're going to make sure that we post. We're going to keep each other accountable after Coffee Talk. Is that this week? Friday?
It is.
Friday.
It's this Friday. So yeah, I just think that's a big thing, kind of dealing with like your marketing is big, but there's a lot of other investments you make in your business, that may be something you need to change. Like, to be honest, I'm looking at our copying machine. I know that sounds weird, but I was talking the other day with, one of the copier reps that we work with, and he has like this large tabletop copier that can do pretty much everything this other large floor model that I have has, where we can purchase the copier right now. It's like $1,000 copier. They have it on sale for $595.
That's a good deal.
Right. And like we currently are paying like $140 a month to lease the floor model. So
in 6 months, it pays itself off.
That's a no-brainer when you're looking at, how are we saving money moving forward in the budget? So, small things like that too. What are you doing? Sometimes bigger isn't always better. Or, is there a way you can streamline some of your processes? Are you, look into what you're doing and just see like, hey, it never hurts. It never hurts to ask. That's one thing I've always found. It never hurts to ask somebody that you're doing business with, like, yes, I know this is what we're paying. Can you do anything better? Can you do any,
I would say no is always free.
Right. I mean, because next time, and it may even be like, well, we're going to have to look around.
Right.
Sometimes that'll help. Sometimes, it doesn't. And it is what it is. But when you're looking at the bottom line and you're looking at your budget and you're looking at things like that, I mean, sometimes you just got to make those decisions. And sometimes there's things you just can't cut out of your budget, and those are things that, then you have to look at, okay, I know what's going to be in there. How am I going to make the money to compensate for that? Like, how are we going to do that? So yeah, definitely look into what you're doing mid-year. Are you already kind of over budget on certain things? And is there ways that you can fix it? And sometimes you can offset something somewhere to help you be able to keep something that you really need somewhere else, if that makes sense. So yeah. Another thing, just kind of talking about, your business and what you're doing. And I kind of really, and this is kind of the last one we'll touch on, but you're halfway through the year. Is your business where you hoped it would be right now? Is it? If it's not, and like it says, be honest with yourself. Like, be honest with yourself. If it's not, then you need to look into why isn't it? What can you do better? Go back at all the things we've talked about, and like, are there things from there that you can implement to make sure that going forward, for the rest of the year, that you're getting to where it is. And if it is where you want it to be, great. But how do you maintain it?
Right.
How do you sustain that?
How did you get there?
Yeah. Exactly. I think when we've chatted a little bit about it, but like, work takes up a big chunk of your life. Like, your family, work. A lot of times there's not a lot of room for play. Sometimes you get to have some time to yourself, but it's, at least for me, it's rare. So if you're, you want to make sure those things are work and family, and you want to make sure that you're happy.
Yeah. That work-life balance is important.
Exactly.
I feel like we're talking to each other.
We are really. We're not calling each other. I don't know if anybody's talking. Yeah, we're just calling each other out. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, sit down and look at your business. Like, is it where you hoped it would be right now? If I'm sitting here thinking to myself, parts of it are, yes. I think, the events we've done so far have been up to par with what I wanted. We did an event that I had been wanting to do for a while. We pulled it off. It went well. I feel like budget wise, I'm definitely better than it has been in years past. And I'm feeling, comfortable. But, on the flip side, membership isn't exactly where I'd like it to be at this point. I feel like we need to be more boots on the ground and, talking to, newer businesses in our area and building them up. So there's definitely things that I feel we need to improve on.
Yeah.
And there are some things that while, I say I'm happy with them, but all of them have improvements as well. I'm not thinking like, oh, it's just great and that's it, and I don't have to do anything further. while I'm happy mid-year where I'm sitting, there's definitely things I don't want to slack off on moving forward. Like I want to make sure they're all
Right.
going to do well going forward too.
And something else to do, just talking to fellow business owners here, like if you're working and you feel like you constantly can't keep up and things are falling behind and you feel like your business isn't growing because you were stretched too thin, maybe it's time to hire. And that's where I was last year. And in September, we hired Tiana as our director of business development. And so we hit a goal that Tiana came in September. So she helped build business up a little bit before the end of the year, but like we had a big goal and we finally hit it last year. And because of adding Tiana to our team and to be clear, the rest of our team as well, like all of our team has worked really hard. We found a new, like a better teamwork and camaraderie that has helped us to grow the business. And we're 50% up from where we were at the end of the year projected for this year, right? That's huge. That's a big jump. And it's because a lot of things got taken off my plate to where they were all depending on me. So they were falling behind, they were late, they were all the things. And because of being able to spread that workload out and actually take pressure off myself, the business actually grew to where when I hired Tiana, I probably really couldn't afford her. But now, like it's worked out. Like
and that's what I was going to say. Like,
and
if you're sitting there thinking, because like in my case, I could definitely use the help,
right? But
I don't have the budget for the help,
right? Yeah,
so,
you've got to balance that out.
Yeah. So how do you, then you got to sit there and think, and that's kind of like go back and see like where are some steps you can take that maybe can start increasing that revenue to where you can get to that point.
Right.
And I know that's hard to say when you're already sitting here going, I'm stretched thin as it is, and I'm already doing all the things.
Yeah, I definitely took a leap of faith.
Yeah, and sometimes it may just not be in the cards. Maybe it's not, or like you have to get creative, or you have to rely on volunteers or people that can come out and help you, which is what I'm doing currently.
Right. And as a nonprofit, it's kind of a unique thing there, right?
Yeah,
so,
it is.
And the thing is you've got to know when to hire. On the flip side of that, I also faced a challenge this year. You've also got to know when it's time to let someone go off your team. If they're not adding, if you're not getting the ROI on their time and on their benefit, and they are not improving the teamwork in your office, maybe it's time to go. We had the guy from it. There goes the train.
The train agrees. The train says time's almost up.
So the guy from ITG, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but Paul Meadows. He was talking about the EOS thing, right? And that stuck with me about the wrong people in the right seat and the right people in the wrong seat, all that stuff. And so we've made some changes this year, and it's been nothing but good since that change happened. But it was hard to go through. Yeah. Right. It was hard to manage. It's, I don't ever want to tell somebody like, hey, I don't think this is the greatest fit for you here. I think it's time to move on. But that conversation had to be had. Yeah. Right. So I grew a lot through that and learning how to do that. And it's not always easy, but it was the right move.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
well, hopefully you guys we've said like something that, you can sit back.
I've heard 0 complaints from Woody today. So that's good.
Yeah, that is good. I'm glad. Is he even here?
Yeah, he's in the other room over there.
Good old Woody.
He's not producing today, so give him a hard time.
Yeah, he has delegated.
Yes.
Look at him.
It's much better.
Doing things. It's much better.
The ratings on this episode will go through the roof.
Absolutely. So yeah, but hopefully, you can take some of these, just these kind of notes and look at what you're doing moving forward. If you're a small business owner, entrepreneur, even mid to large size. I mean, you've got to look at things.
Let me say this. While we're talking about surveying your clients and things like that, if you're listening to this podcast right now and you're like, I love this about the podcast, or I don't love this about the podcast, send us a message on Facebook to Talk Local to me.
We would love that.
I want to know feedback.
Yeah.
And I really want to know, like, what do you love about the show? What do you hate? When are you like, Mike, shut up? When are you like, Heather, stop talking?
All the time.
Like, yeah, all the time.
Just kidding.
No, but like, what do you like about it? What do you not like? Do you like when we're serious? Do you like when we're not serious? Do you like it when we have shows like this? Some of my favorite episodes we've had are ones where,
same.
Guests can't make it, things like that. We kind of, I don't want to say shoot from the hip, but it's like we formulated the plan for today on the way to the podcast today.
That's
right?
correct.
So,
yes.
But it came out really well because we truly believe in, and I always talk about this podcast is for local business, by local business, for local business. Like I really want to use this platform to help people out there learn and grow, and not just learn about the members of the CVABC, but how to improve their business. And
And if this is something you like, if you do like where we have shows that we don't necessarily have a guest on that we're talking
We
to,
can start
and
scheduling them.
how, what are things that you as our listeners want to hear? Because that way Mike and I can research it, or even bring on,
Somebody
people
who
in the
we feel like is
community.
an expert and knows more than us.
Right. Can help with that versus just, it's great that we have our guests, which are a lot of our members, come on and just tell about who they are, because, that's part of it. We want to talk local and have people learn about who the businesses in our area are. But I really like when we have guests on that are informative, and we're really getting deeper into just, well, here's my business, here's what I do, but we're diving into like issues and things that are pertinent to our listeners and that they want to hear. So we really would love the feedback. We've going on 4 years now, I think.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Over 200 episodes now. And we'd definitely love to get the get your feedback.
And if you don't have any feedback, positive or negative, just be like, hey, I was listening.
Yeah.
I don't care if that's all you say. Just let us know.
Just put a little meh emoji.
Yeah,
That little face is like, meh.
Meh.
Here I am.
Or the one with a raised eyebrow.
Yeah, that would, like, what'd you say?
Yeah.
Anyway, but definitely. Well, thank you for tuning in. We will be back next Wednesday. And up until then, if you are listening for the first time, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you can be notified of future episodes. And if you are a longtime listener, we appreciate you. And also, if you have heard anything about any of our events or want more information about the Central Virginia Business Coalition as a whole and how you can become a member, or if you just need more information on your benefits, you can go to
cbabc.org. Have a great week. We'll see you next Wednesday.